They're silent because that was one of the things that I brought up in my video, because in your video you said, I've been holding back about, Charlie Kirk and how I feel, and but I'm finally going to speak out. And then my video, I even responded.
I saw it.
And my question was, why were you silent? Because people don't agree on the things that I say, but I am so convinced that my way is progressive, and it's going in the right direction as far as like in history, like the right side of history, that I thought, why aren't you speaking out about it?
In 2008, I saw Ben Affleck and Matt Damon up on stage with Barack Obama, campaigning for him, and I didn't know why they were up there. And then it made sense. Okay, they're on TV, they're popular, they're opinion makers. They were trying to get Barack Obama's vote. And I was like, I want to be that someday. I want to be an opinion maker. And I got to Hollywood and I realized I don't vote that way. I just don't. And I'm not allowed to say that I'm a fan of Donald Trump, because how much hate am I going to get immediately? Because it's Donald Trump.
But the next question to that is, why do you think there's that hate? Because there's hate on the other side too, but we're still...
Can I say something really quick as a black woman? So I hear you. I really do. And I respect, the perspective that you're coming from. But to me, your perspective is coming from a heterosexual white man. And you're born into privilege. You are born. You don't have to work as hard as other communities to gain respect, to get the job, to get entry into college.
Do you believe that?
No.
Because, and I'm going to say this, as a black woman, my whole life, I was born this way. I've seen where I would go into a job just as qualified as Sarah, but she has blonde hair and blue eyes. And that's the look that they want on the front desk. So for you to say, why do we have to be at odds, and why does it have to be this community and that community, is because unfortunately in the human race, if we stop erasing history from our books in schools, we will understand that in the slave trade, men were not in the homes with the families because the slave master separated the families. Therefore, we have generations that are still trying to recover from slavery. For you to say that the black family was wealthier in the 50s because the father was in the home, no, they were lynching them in the 50s. So fathers weren't even making it home. The black woman has unfortunately had to be the staple. That's why they call us Big Mama. So we had to hold the families together when daddy didn't come home because he was lynched, because he was in a sundown city, or because he lost his job, so now he has to wash cars or become sharecroppers. That's the things. Those are the things that I saw as a black person. My perspective on life is going to be different from yours. Not saying that your perspective is wrong. That's just your perspective because that's how you've lived.
Yeah, so can I say something on that? And she's absolutely right. So my biggest thing, especially when it comes to, because I've done shows all about white privilege, is it real? And to me, it's just, I won't say shocking, because it's not your fault. It's not your fault. But what I've discovered, and I'm not talking about just you, but I just mean white people in general, especially Republicans, they do not want to know that someone else has an upper hand on self-analyzation, knowing who you are as a person and having to survive in the world, in a world that is a club that you are not invited in.
Not invited.
But you still have to survive it. And you've always been represented, like I said. We as gay men, specifically, we were born with certain inalienable rights under the Constitution, and then they were taken away from us. Marriage equality. They were taken away from us. So we were second-class citizens. And now that we are again, the white people are still kicking and screaming, trying to take it away from us, like it affects them. And it doesn't, but they just do not want us to be equal. So I think that there is something to be said about the fact that you don't believe that you are, because you are. Everyone will tell you that you are, and we're not saying that that's bad. We just want you to acknowledge that you have it, because you do. And with saying that, and when I was asking you about Charlie Kirk and like how you felt about everything that he was saying, so just for you personally, just sort of knee-jerk reactions of these topics.
Before you go into that, may I please respond?
If it's quick?
It'll be quick.
Yes.
I don't believe in white privilege, and I know that all of you will gasp, because every individual is different. I've got family from all over the country: Arkansas, West Virginia, the Carolinas, Alabama, and they are poor, that didn't have the opportunities because they were poor. I come from a single-family home, me and my sister. Mama made $20,000 a year. Mama could buy 2 tacos. She couldn't buy that third taco for herself. I went a free taco. Mama, I got you a taco. We were poor. I grew up in a black church, and I was the only white kid in the church, and so was my sister. My name's Donny and Lonnie, but our names are Donny and Lunny, and we had church. And it was my stepdad. He had to put me in check, because the worst thing you could say to somebody as a kid, and where I went to school, is, "You're gay." And I'm like, them's fighting words. And I didn't meet a gay person until I was 16 years old at the Highland Park pool. And he said, "Hey, you're buff. Let's work out sometimes." Like, why does he want to work out with me? He's gay. He's gay? Because that was my first introduction. And I went to my stepdad, the pastor, and he says, "Whoa, slow your roll. Love them. That is what you're commanded to do. Love them."
Can I ask you a question?
You don't have to care for their lifestyle, but love them regardless. And I believe that that's also what Charlie Kirk, everyone, he loved everyone.
Go ahead.
I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
So that I want you to see from my viewpoint as a black person. So if you were riding in a car with a black man, so turn me into a man, and the police pulled you over, would you be nervous?
No.
The black man would. I have family. If we see police, we immediately, our heart rate goes up, because we don't know if we're going to get home alive. That's the difference between your skin and my skin. We don't know if we're going to survive another day. When I love shopping in Gucci. I have money to afford Gucci. But do you know they will not approach me? But if someone else walks in behind me, they will ask her, can they help her? Because of my skin. I have walked out of many stores, and I said, I'm not going to spend my money here where they will not acknowledge me as a customer.
Tommy,
because of my skin.
Do you want to say something?
Yeah, this is maybe where it might be confusing as we explain what our problems with Charlie Kirk were, because they're about culture, which is kind of vague. And to understand why Charlie Kirk was such a menacing figure to us, at least, is to think about how he might have been poisoning the culture against us. There's a lot of decision making that happens just between two people, not recorded, no record of what they were talking about. And I've been in plenty of rooms with all white people, and it can get quite racist, quite casually, and quite quick. And just kind of out of nowhere, just when a bunch of white people in a room thinking that no one's paying attention or hearing what they're saying, oof, boy, it can get real thick in there, just with just racist banter and whatnot, or homophobic banter. And this is something I had to grow up with, is that I was in a room with all heterosexuals, and within 5 minutes, I could set an egg timer to this, there'd just be anti-gay jokes and banter. And it's the culture. It's what people think is allowable, even if they have to look over their shoulder real quick, what they think is allowable when they are amongst their own, quote unquote. And that is what always struck me as very dangerous about what Charlie Kirk was doing. He was poisoning the culture against us, and in a way that would be challenging for us to even talk about.
Everything that we're talking about is words. Okay, you heard things that hurt you, that you didn't like. There is a rhetoric that's coming another way, that I'm a fascist, I'm a Nazi, I'm Third Reich, I'm a homophobic, I'm racist, I'm transphobic. Those are words that I could get angry over. Do I know my heart? And know thyself. And I know my heart. I have no hate in my heart for anyone.
And it's this is all true, and it would be relevant if the problem was located just on us. It's not a question of words being hurtful. It's a question of words being an invitation to violence.
Absolutely.
It's not just my feelings
Who
were
got
hurt and I
shot?
feel sad. I feel afraid because of what people like Charlie Kirk do as their careers and their lives.
Charlie Kirk
this isn't
didn't
just
shoot anybody.
it's not
Charlie Kirk's the one that got shot.
he didn't shoot anyone, but again, we're talking about rhetorical violence. Again, poisoning the culture, which like you just said, that's just words. Those are just words. But words are quite powerful. Words are a fundamental part of being a human being, and to use the very means that we communicate and interact and relate to each other for violence and to cultivate harm against us,
There have
that
been
matters.
3 assassination attempts
That
in
matters.
the past year. One of them successful, and they were all aimed at not gay people,
No.
not black people. It was people that said something that another side
We're being
didn't like.
assassinated every day on
Yeah,
the streets.
every day.
We may,
Sure.
it may not be televised, but I have gay friends. I have Latino friends, and we are assassinated every day. Just because it was not covered by the local news does not mean it didn't happen.
Yeah.
It just so happens that Mr. Kirk had the attention of the nation. And
White people too.
Right. And unfortunately, he was murdered on television. I'm so sorry for his wife and children. So in my heart, I'm not going to, you don't rejoice over something like that. So I don't get the part where we're rejoicing that he passed away.
No, we're
But-
loving the sinner and hating the sin. Okay,
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
trying to we're talking about Charlie Kirk, the person who had a wife and child, and we understand that this act of violence is not compatible with a civil society
Absolutely
at all.
not.
It absolutely isn't. But
Yeah,
ooh,
and
geez.
Dallas,
Charlie Kirk had some opinions.
Dallas is number one in the nation of trans deaths, especially
Whoa.
trans black women.
Wow.
Number one in the entire nation. So because you hear about a few white people getting assassinated, oh no, because it's you guys now. So to us, we're like, do they not know this? And the answer is, I guess no.
We're murdered every day.
You don't know this.
I hear everything that you're saying.
know?
And any death is too many deaths. A lot of the crime that we're seeing in this nation that is not covered of what we're seeing in Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, New Orleans, Memphis, some of the most dangerous cities, a lot of time is black on black crime.
I disagree.
No, it's not.
No.
And when I
It's
was
Who
not.
says that?
when
Where
I was-
did you see
when I was
that?
saying this earlier,
That's not true.
fatherless homes.
But where did you see that?
Let me finish this statement.
No. But before
That's
you
not
continue,
true.
where we have to go with facts.
Gang violence in our nation. Okay? Again,
So-
But where are all the mass shootings in the schools happening?
Yeah.
Not in the black community.
no, ma'am, they are not.
They're in the suburbs where there are educated white people.
And that's not even 0.1% of the deaths in our nation. Too many
But you're
black
saying
men are
that the
dying
most
in our
violent
inner cities.
areas are black, and that is an untrue statement,
Yeah,
sir.
that's not
That is
true.
not true. That is your opinion as a white heterosexual person that lives in their community, and you don't understand the other community. You said something, well, I grew up in a black church, but you're still not black. You didn't
Right.
have to live there or my reality. I can stand at McDonald's. It doesn't make me a hamburger. I can stand in a garage. It don't make me a car. You don't understand what it feels like to be a person of color or a gay person. I don't understand what it feels like to be a gay person, but I have friends who are, so I try to learn from them and understand them. So for me to say, well, I grew up in a white church, what does that mean? That doesn't make me white.
And the people that I see as good leaders and people that are idols and stuff, they're not talking anti, like just hateful things like he is. Because, look, I'm not even going to read them all, but I have actual quotes that I took from video that he said. And so, with saying that and then you still saying, yeah, but it's like, as Tommy said, because you're not the recipient. He's not talking about you. He's talking about all other minorities. He was anti-minority. And
I don't agree with that at all.
Well-
I think he was pro-human. He wanted all humans. There was a debate that a Christian went after him, and he says, you as a Christian man, how can you allow gay people here? And he goes, whoa, what are you talking about? And Charlie Kirk stood up. He goes, you love everybody. You can't just shun people. You're saying they can't be Republican or they can't vote conservative because they're gay? You need to check your heart.
So he did, and I will give you that. He said something along those lines, and that was in 2019. He has, I guess, changed his mind now because he has not said anything like that.
And also, you kind of have to read between the lines. I'm sure that Republicans have no problems with people who they don't support voting for them nonetheless. Sure, why not? If someone wants to just hand me money, I'll probably take it. But that doesn't, what does that mean otherwise? I mean, it doesn't negate everything else that he was advocating for. And in fact, it's not incompatible. It's not incompatible. Like
My
at all,
grandmother worked for white people, and they loved her too, in their own way. So for them, give Margaret the leftover food, or give her the car that we don't want anymore. That was their love for her. So Mr. Kirk, in his rhetoric, stating that he loves humanity, he was still at the same time cutting us at the same time as he was trying to heal us.
And this is what I'm trying to understand as well is if there's someone who, because this has happened before to me, someone will say, oh, Ezra, you need to go to YouTube. You need to follow this person. And you know, this is what they talk about. And I'll say, oh, okay, that's kind of weird. Okay, sure. And they're like, but they're not on YouTube. They were kicked out. They're on the black web or on the dark web, whatever they call it.
Right.
The moment they say anything like that, I'll think, well, hold on. What is it that they're saying that they were pretty much blocked out of everything? And then that person will respond and say, oh, no, it's because they're really saying the truth, but nobody can handle it. And I'm like, And so for me, when you were saying at the very beginning of the show, yeah, there were universities that would cause this big stir because they didn't want him to visit. What I'm wondering is, do you ever question, I wonder why they don't want him to visit? What is it about him that they don't want him there? And to listen to the outcry of why they don't want him there, because it doesn't seem like that comes into your mind at all.
Berkeley is a very liberal university, as I feel like most of our universities in this country. I mean, NPR hired 99 liberals, 0 conservatives.
Do you see liberals as a bad thing?
There's not a diversity in thought.
No, in you, like for you, because you're making sure to use those adjectives. These are liberals, and they only hired this many conservatives.
Zero.
No. I'm saying you're saying that like they're teams. Liberals, conservatives. Are liberals
University
bad?
is the same thing. No, but again, there's no diversity of thought. It is one perspective, and I believe the universities of our nation, the news, the media, Hollywood, is controlled by liberals.
What's your definition of liberal?
Wow, you would there. I believe that the term has changed. My wife made this comment. She goes, I miss the 1970 liberal hippies, the people that stood against war, people that were against the system, the people that stood up for people were. And I feel like we've changed a lot in that 50 years. I feel like there's a lot of liberals that were pro-Ukraine, anti-Israel. I have to say this. Where I draw a line is I am so pro-life to the core.
So you're anti-choice?
No, I believe that is an innocent child in the womb.
So you're anti-choice. You don't want them to have a choice.
We only had a choice. Did we have a choice when it came to the COVID vaccinations?
Oh, that was one of the things I was going to ask you until you said
you can't work.
Okay, well, let's go to this list.
But which is more important, a human being child?
Let's go to this list. Just give me a knee-jerk reaction to these things. And it can be like up to like a 5-second answer. Obama.
What about him? How would you feel if he was assassinated?
COVID vaccine.
Never.
Trans people.
I'll say something on that. I have no problem with trans people. Where I do draw a line is I would like to stay away from children. I don't think there should be a trans reading hour with kids because that opens a door for them. Now, I'm going to say this, and this is going to be very unpopular. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But there's a statistic that 50% of people that identify as transgender attempt suicide at some point in their life. I want us to get to the bottom of that. Why is that?
Oh, we already know.
Oh, and I can help you unpack that. They
But-
might
Yeah.
attempt suicide
No.
because they're being persecuted nonstop by their family, by the people who are supposed to love them,
By
by
society.
people
By
like Charlie
religion.
Kirk. Yeah, yeah, I can imagine.
has
It's
grown by
greater than half.
1,300% in the
Yes,
last
because
decade.
because they're getting more and more out because they have a bigger voice now.
I believe America and its politics has become the Apostle Paul of transgenderism throughout the world. The amount of money we've spread to other nations trying to promote LGBTQ, and I think that I would like to get to the root cause of why people are trying to commit
So
suicide.
why don't you ask?
I'm asking you right here today. I mean, I have
We're
this
telling you.
conversation all of the time.
Again, I just offered an explanation. Do you where's the fault?
And
in
look,
the
I
explanation?
wrote here
Where's
earlier on the
lie?
show.
You know, like
I wrote
mean,
here on the show earlier. Why don't they ask us these
yeah.
questions?
I mean, just here, as a theory.
See, you felt like-
perhaps the reason why so many trans people attempt suicide is because of persecution, oppression, violence against them by people who are their family, who are supposed to care about them, and all of this is egged on by people like Charlie Kirk. Where is the lie in that theory? Like, what am I missing if that's not the explanation?
No matter who you are or the way you define yourself, whether transgender, black, female, gay, the only place we are oppressed.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second? I don't identify as a black female. I was born this way.
Yeah.
So I'm not identifying.
we're not identifying
I
as
am
gay.
a black
We
woman.
are gay.
Yeah,
I'm a black woman. I was born into this.
When you want to talk about the power of words, words can
I don't
confuse
identify
as
as a
well as
black
clarify.
woman. I am.
Let's not get
Again-
confused
Again,
here.
we're putting
Yeah.
ourselves in groups, and I just want to be men and women.
We
No.
can't.
Okay.
No, but we cannot because it's not just men and women. So I'm going to continue with my
I almost
my
got that
list.
thought through.
Columbus Day or National Indigenous People Day.
Columbus Day.
Cancel culture.
I'm a part of it.
Define woke.
I'll tell you a story.
Well, hold on. Define woke, and then I'll let you go back.
I'm not a fan of woke. I'm
Define
a fan
it.
of being awake.
Define woke.
It's a liberal term to go along to get along.
To go along to get along. January 6th.
What is perceived as the only unarmed insurrection in the history of mankind. One person got shot that day, a woman. She was unarmed. I don't know how one person can die that day and it be called an insurrection.
The Epstein files.
They need to be released now.
Do you think Trump was in them?
I don't pretend to know or guess what I can't prove. I mean, a lot of people say Bill Clinton is in it. I can't prove it.
This is the last one. What could Trump do that would make you finally not be a supporter?
That's a very vague question. I don't.
It's
I don't
a very pointed one, I think. Just name anything that would make you go, no.
defame the name of God.
Okay,
to
I mean,
defame
that's at least an
Jesus.
answer. I mean,
Yeah.
I could give you answers as to why I would stop supporting any number of Democrats.
Yeah.
I mean, for real. Like
I don't like all. See,
Yeah,
I don't like all
you know,
Republicans.
so,
I could name.
But you
one
vote
after
Republican.
another.
That's all that matters.
The only reason I have never voted Democrat is because I am pro-life, and I don't believe in transgendering children. And that's something
Transgender. Wait, say that again.
I don't transgendering children.
Transgendering, as in turning them transgender.
I don't believe in any child should be transgendered. There shouldn't be affirmative.
So no hormone treatment.
Yes.
No surgical treatment.
Not until you're at least 18
the
years
entire
old.
portfolio of things about being trans. Sure.
Not until you're at
Okay.
least 18 years old.
Now, have you researched what it is to be transgender?
Again, this will be unpopular. I don't think there's such thing as a transgender child. That's my opinion.
Have you ever met any?
Of course I have. I've met a transgender child. I
Yes.
see somebody that, I mean, there was a case here in Dallas. It was two twin boys, and it was a mother and a father.
No.
getting
Have you?
divorced.
Are they your friends? Do you know them?
No.
I don't want to hear the stories. Do you know them? Are you friends with transgender people?
Yes. I work with a lot of transgender people. In this industry, you can't avoid anything.
Okay. And what do you tell them? Do you tell them, hey, why do you think you're transgender? You're really not? Or
No. We just have a normal conversation. We don't get into the choices of their life.
Okay. Well, I mean, because you're denying them any type of health
No.
care that they might need.
No,
you're saying.
I'm talking about children only. I think that is, stay away from the children.
Well, can I say something? I
Yes.
used to have your perspective when it came to sexual orientation, transgender, until I became friends with people that are in that community.
Were they underage? Were they younger than
Yes,
18?
yes.
You are
My
a s-
daughter went to school with a few of them, and what I had to do was research it, because I found out just the way someone can be born with Down syndrome. They can be born. You have children in St. Jude's Hospital who were born with cancer. There are some children in the 20th week of gestation who the brain is male, but the body comes out as female, or vice versa. It's really an intense conversation. I'm sorry for taking
Yeah,
it
no,
to that
You're
way.
good.
But I decided to research people that I don't understand. And that's how I become friends. And I can say, I can understand you and I can respect. I may not understand it all, but I can respect it.
I want a
So-
child to have the opportunity to grow up. I asked my 7-year-old, what do you want to be when you get older? She goes, I want to be a raptor. I was like, you want to be a rapper? She goes, no, I want to be a raptor. I didn't affirm her turning into a dinosaur.
Well, this
And-
was the same thing that we heard when we were fighting for our right to marry. And people would say, well, next thing you know, they're going to be wanting to marry dogs. And it's like, that has nothing. Why are y'all going to the extreme and doing something like that? Okay, do you have any kids?
I do.
Okay, so imagine, do you have boy or girl?
Girl.
A girl. So imagine your girl, and then she does not want to wear dresses. She just wants to wear boy clothes, like just T-shirts, jeans, and she wants to play
Okay.
with trucks, and she wants to do all that.
Absolutely. I came outside and she was holding something. I'm like, what do you have? And it's my friend, Harry. I'm like,
Yeah.
show it to me. And it was a tarantula the size of her palm.
Nice.
And it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
she's still a girl holding a tarantula.
Yes. So now imagine, and let's just not make it so personal where it's your daughter, just in general, like where somebody has a child and then that child still wants to dress, and this is for years, where they want to dress like, I guess, the typical opposite sex would dress. And then they do that. And when they try to talk them out of doing sports or any type of activities that sway towards another gender, traditional other gender, that kid starts crying and they're upset and they say no. And then they even start telling their parent after 5 or 6 years of this, saying, I don't want you to call me this name, I want you to call me this name because this is who I am. And they keep doing that.
Who taught them
there
that?
are themselves. I am a gay man. I was surrounded by straight people. That did not make me straight. So same thing. It's like common sense
I believe
to
there's
me.
nature and there's nurture. I also believe that God said that we are perfectly and wonderfully made as we are. He did not make a mistake
Well,
when he
for
made
me,
us.
I'm like Tommy. I'm not religious at all, so that really doesn't
Do
hold
you know
any
what
weight
the
for
name
me.
Israel means?
But Savior sent by God.
One who wrestles with God.
Oh, even better. It's true. So what I'm saying is there are, in our world, because it's, and this is what kills me, is you don't ask us questions because we're in the know. We know more than you. White people hate to hear that a minority knows more than them. When it comes to our own community, we know more than you. We know what's going on. So why don't, and not just you in general, I'm just saying, why doesn't the majority ask us questions? And when we answer, why don't you believe us? What is so hard about believing what we're telling you?
Something that I'm hearing at this table today is, Israel, what I know about you, there's nothing in this world that I can go and do that you can't do. You are not oppressed. You as well.
well,
You are
that's what you
are
think.
rich,
That's what you-
powerful,
That's what you
successful.
think, because of your
know
privilege.
It. I know it. No, it's not privilege. You have to fight.
is.
It's not. Life is going to punch you
We
and
have
put you
to
on the
fight
ground.
harder
whether
than
if you're
you.
gay, straight, whatever color you are, it will punch you to the ground. You have to get up. You think my life is easy just because the color of
No,
my
no,
skin.
no,
I
we never said
promise
that.
you,
We never
it's
said
never
not.
your
said
life
that.
was easy. What we said is that you were born into privilege. So the things that I face in this brown skin, you will never face. You will never know what it feels like to walk into a Lord and Taylor or a Nordstrom and someone's questioning, can she afford this? or is she going to take something?
And
I'm being
you whip
followed
out your
around.
American Express and prove them all wrong.
And you
because
will
they
But I
have
don't.
no
But that's the
power
point.
over you.
Why do I have to prove it?
Right.
The same thing happened to Oprah in Paris.
Well, listen,
she
and
could
you-
buy.
You will
But
never.
because she's a brown woman.
Yes, and you will never know the feeling
You
of
won't.
us watching TV and waiting to hear the president, in this case George Bush, saying, Junior, I guess, and we're
George
waiting, George W., anticipating if he's going to approve marriage equality, and he says, we've decided it's just going to be between a man and a woman, and you're never going to know that feeling because when he said that, it ripples through America and the world, and it makes me feel like I'm going to be hurt because I am not a part of the world. I am less than, and I don't deserve it just by breathing.
Politicians
doing
are
nothing.
human and they are fallible. George W. didn't make that, and I will never stand up for George W. Not a fan. I can't tell you much.
But
I
what
like
I'm
about
saying
him. But not
is-
even 4 years later,
But
Barack
no,
Obama.
no. That you're missing the point. What I'm saying is you'll never know that feeling because you've always been represented. And when I say you, I just
Do
say
you hold on to that feeling, or do
Oh
you
my God, yes.
Or do you celebrate? You could go
Because
marry
it's still-
any person you want to right
But
now.
they're trying to take it away from us again.
It's not going to happen. I promise you.
Oh, that's
gonna
not
happen.
the point. The point is Tommy, chime in here with when it comes to like those what's
Who is
happening
trying
right
to
now.
take away gay marriage?
Republicans.
Yeah, I was going to say
Oh, that's vague.
Yes.
that's
Well-
that's a subject for the next show because it's a conversation and it's a long one. But
Can I
yeah,
say something else,
Yeah, I
too?
would say same-sex marriage rights are hanging by a thread. They're
Yes.
hanging
I
by
don't
a
believe
thread,
that.
and
Once
there
they
is
are
a
here, they're here
Well,
to
because
stay.
it's not your fight, so
Well,
we don't
They're not going
fault
anywhere.
you
well,
that
that's,
you don't know.
that's
the
what we
details.
thought about abortion rights and Roe v. Wade, and that was a 50-year-long legal precedent with
And
all
that was
kinds of
reversed.
jurisprudence surrounding it, and it is gone, and
Can
it's just gone.
But can
So-
I add this too? I'm sorry, really quickly. In the black community, religion is a touchy subject. So for us to label Mr. Kirk as a Christian, you have to look at the history of the African American community. So go to the Museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C., and go to the 6th floor. There's a whole separate room of Bibles that were for black people. They were slave Bibles. So things that were included in the King James and things were removed for the slaves because they didn't want to give us ideologies. So for us, sometimes religion can be weaponized. So to match him with Christianity can be tough for our community because we understand that's how we were controlled in slavery. That's how we were told, you obey your master because that's what the Lord said to do, okay? All throughout the Bible, I'm not saying that the Bible supported slavery, but it did help the slave masters control how we moved and how we lived. So going to the Museum of the Bible, I learned that there were scribes that were hired to add things to the Bible. So the Bible isn't 100% foolproof because each king could add what they wanted to. That's why you have different versions. So for us and some of us in the community, to put Mr. Kirk beside Jesus Christ in Christianity, it's like it's weaponized it.
So
We're saying he's a hero. A hero to whom?
Yeah. So, well, I guess for you,
For the
it's
Lord.
for you, he's
the
your
Lord.
hero, and you actually gave legitimate reasons, like, hey, he came from this, and then he did this, and he did this, and so yeah, I totally
I believe
get
he
that.
spoke the truth fearlessly, unapologetically, and everything he said it with love. That is my feelings. That is my heart. That man had a heart for God.
And I believe every word of that if you add for white people
For white people
at the end.
that were like him, and they
Yeah.
looked like him, and they had a wife and 2 children.
So we're close.
How do we heal this nation?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
a lot of the things that we've talked
well, hold
about
on. We're close to the end of the show. I'm going to give everybody one last chance to just kind of do your closing statements of what you want to say, because I would love to do a part 2 to this. I think this is wonderful. Tommy, we're going to start with you, and we'll go this way.
Ooh, yeah. I'm not sure what my closing statements are because I don't know if the Charlie Kirk saga is even resolved yet. There's still quite a bit of activity to interpret the meaning of his life as we just witnessed and experienced ourselves right here. I would love the nation to heal, for sure, but I also don't think it's my community that was injuring the nation. That's the problem. If we're going to talk about healing the nation, we got to talk about treating what's actually sick about it. And yeah, I think that was Charlie Kirk and people of his ilk, straight up. You talk about him like he's a good man, and it just reminds me that normal life is bizarro world. It's just people can exist right next to each other and be in totally different worlds. Mm-hmm. And this is maybe just an ever greater facet of modern life, just how we are siloed within these strange echo chamber worlds, and then they can be oddly impenetrable. And this is maybe a great example of it. So honestly, I hope people keep talking about Charlie Kirk. I really do. His legacy is notorious, and it is voluminous, and the truth will come out. Mm-hmm. There's no way to keep the truth about what he actually stood for hidden, and there just isn't enough gaslighting to cover this up. So I hope this is something that I'm going to try to have some faith about.
Okay.
So
nice. Who wants to go?
I can go. For me, it's never ending. No conversation will ever end this for me, because I'm always going to be a Black woman. I've seen my mother, my grandmother, and I also was privileged to know my great-grandparents. One lived to be 107 years of age. I have the newspaper clip. They lived on the plantations. They worked. They were not paid. They've struggled their whole lives. So as a Black person, this conversation will never end. My perspective will never change. Do I have Caucasian friends? Of course. I absolutely do. I love all people. But for people to be considered friends and community, we have to respect each other's perspective. So I respect how the white community may feel, but they'll never know how we feel. You can have statistics for days. You can have your opinion on the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. But guess what? We have to live it. The gay community has to live it. As a Black, brown person, I have to live this every day. And to me, Mr. Kirk is just a small representation of how society really feels. He just was vocal about it.
Go ahead.
My entire next generation is all mixed. My niece and nephew, other nephew, and things that we had talked about. I have open conversations with them. If you ever get pulled over, this is what you do. You're honest, you're respectful, you say yes sir, no ma'am, whatever it is, and know that you have nothing to hide because you didn't break the law. And so they don't live in fear over that. And I try to, I want him to always, to never feel like we can't erase history, but we can work on the future. And to know that he's not less than. He's empowered. He can be whatever he wants to be. We say the same thing every morning. He wakes up and go, something wonderful is going to happen to me today. And you're going to bring that wonderful into the world. And I see that empowering in him. To close up, tomorrow there is a mass pilgrimage going to Arizona in honor of Charlie Kirk. They're expecting over 110,000 people there. And I believe that Charlie Kirk's life is not going to end with him. I believe that there's going to be a lot more Charlie Kirks. I believe that all of you have a misrepresentation of who Charlie Kirk actually is. I believe he had a heart after God. I believe that with my whole heart. I believe that society tries to divide us, the news tries to divide us, but if we come together, I want us to heal as a nation. If the word again is what bothers you of make America great, then let's just make America great together as one fabric, as one community. That's what I want. I want this nation to heal. I don't want there to be murder in the streets. I don't want there to be unrest. I don't want it to be us versus them. We are one human race, and God is love. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no man cometh unto the Father but by me. Satan comes to kill, steal, and destroy. That is a binary choice, to choose good over evil. And I want us as a nation to never celebrate death of anyone. Somebody, I have no hate in my heart, but somebody I completely disagree with, I wish no harm upon them. I don't wish death upon them. I wish them happiness and peace in their hearts. And that's what I want for us to heal as a nation. My heart is broken over Charlie. It broke me. And I want the people to know that Charlie. I think that we have been pitted together to say he's this or that. I believe he was a good man.
Thank you for all of your input in the closing. So I will just say that I agree with everybody. I want this to be a better place. I hope that this show was a good education for a lot of people that are watching, at least just to hear all of our perspectives. When it comes to Charlie Kirk, I still did he deserve to die? No, but am I glad he's dead? Absolutely. And if people have this rhetoric and they're spreading it, especially against any type of minorities, especially my community, and they die, I will celebrate. And no one's going to tell me that I can't celebrate because they don't live in my shoes, so they don't know how I feel. I'm not going to criticize anybody about how they mourn or react to a death or a funeral of anybody because I don't know their history. So I'm not going to judge that. But I know that in my body, it feels good that he is not around, just like Hitler is not around. So that's how I feel about that. But I will say thank you very much, Magnolia, for being on the show because I didn't think you were going to be on it. And Tommy, of course, thank you for coming on board, outside of just being behind the screen over there doing the controls. And Donny, I will say, thank you so much for being on the show because I honestly didn't think you would be on the show. I have tried to have shows like this before when I was having a Republican, Democrat, independent show, and they would always flake out on me. So the fact that you actually came in and sort of in a way came out as a Charlie Kirk supporter, Trump supporter, that says a lot. So I appreciate that, and I absolutely respect that. So
yeah, I was going to say, I appreciate you coming onto the show, too. It's brave. I know we kind of firing squatted you a bit, but thank you anyway for just being honest and talking about what is a very tense subject.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
absolutely.
And I've never, I'm going to say this as well, I've never met anyone like you before. I'm friends with people like you. I'm friends with people like you. I have never, and I'm sorry for getting emotional. When I meet people like you, I just want you guys to understand the pain that words have and what they cause. It's like
Magnolia, I just met you and I love you.
I love you too.
I want peace in your
and I
heart,
respect your
and I want you to be
perspective,
so
but we
empowered.
can't heal unless we all sit down and say, let me try to understand their reality. You reading statistics to a person like him or myself, we don't care about statistics because once these lights go out and I get in my car, I'm a black woman. And the statistics don't mean anything to me.
You're a child of God.
That's how you may say, but the society and the world that we live in, I'm a black woman. My parents were great naming me Magnolia because they don't know when I apply for something if I'm black or if I'm white. I have to live in this skin. And I love my I have white friends, but I've never met anyone like you. And I don't feel any hate coming from you at all. And I love that I was able to sit down and hear you because the media, you get bombarded with it and you don't understand that you guys are human too. How you feel, you still are human as well. And I really enjoyed hearing your perspective today because I've never met anyone in person like you.
Yeah,
It was really refreshing to actually meet a person like you and say, okay, this is how they think and this is how they feel because they haven't lived like we lived.
Yeah, so I really, want to, say thank you for coming on the show because you were going to be the one that, because we sort of had similar views and we were going to have, you on the show. So when I texted the reminder today, I thought, oh, he just texted. He's probably going to make up some excuse like, oh, I can't because this happened. And you said, I'll be there. And I was like, wow, this is going to be a great show. And I'm going to second what she just said. during the entire show, I didn't feel any sense of hate at all. So, which made the conversation even better.
Absolutely.
So, anyway, yeah, but we have to go. I would love to do a part 2 if we ever can schedule it. But guys, everyone, thank you so much for watching this episode of Don't Panic. You know what? Listen to my shirt. Be a nice human.
Yes.
And have a great day. Thank you so much. Bye.